Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. We're here tonight to discuss the pronunciation of Wyomissing. You know, that's the town that John's dad bought a house for John and Kate to live in, and many of you have left me comments letting me know how to pronounce it, and it's worse than I ever imagined. Wyomissing. You know, I just keep thinking to myself, and I hate to even bring this up, but like, if someone went missing in that town, I mean, if I went missing in that town, I would hate that the news broadcast would be like, she went missing in Wyomissing. You know, I mean, I can't. They need to change the name of that town. Wyomissing.
Just west of Reading, with a population of 10,000, lies the borough of Wyomissing. Its tree-lined streets, well-appointed homes, parkland, and library, even many of its traditions, harken back to an earlier time.
But as we head further down the rabbit hole, we're going to take a look at Chapter 4, the action plan. And we're adding on Chapter 5 to this video because it's short and it goes along with what Hoffman has to say in the 4th chapter. Oh my God, I just thought to myself, I'm gonna hashtag this Wyomissing, so people from that town might watch it. That's such a good idea. Okay, back to the book. In Chapter 4, Hoffman introduces us to a very important character. Her name is Bobby McCaughey.
When Bobby McCaughey gave birth to 7 kids in 1997, she made headlines across the globe. We're now catching up with the family we couldn't take our eyes off of just before the new millennium, and we're amazed how they all turned out.
Okay. So by the time Kate married John, Hoffman lets us know that she was already becoming obsessed with a very successful family in Carlisle, Iowa.
Prior to November 19, 1997, the day before the McCaughey kids were born, no one had successfully given birth to septuplets before. Earlier, when ultrasounds revealed septuplets, Bobby and her husband, Kenny McCaughey, were stunned.
The McCaughey family had given birth to 7 babies in 1997, and allegedly Kate was watching them from afar. At first, she mentioned that she thought it was like a freak show, but over time she started to read more and more about this family. She talked about them often.
Bobby had been undergoing treatments for infertility, and according to doctors, her ovaries became overstimulated. She and Kenny declined selective reduction, opting to put it in God's hands. The Iowa couple.
And she watched how Bobby McCaughey was receiving an extraordinary amount of media attention just for having gotten pregnant and had a lot of kids. But not only that, she was receiving a significant amount of money and gifts for herself and her children. Hoffman writes, just for having a bunch of babies, Bobby was showered with a huge assortment of gifts, including 7 years of free cable TV, college scholarships, that's a big one for all of her children, 10 years of portrait photos, I actually really like that, a lifetime supply of Pampers diapers, and a 15-passenger van, and a very new and very large house. Wow. People really look at the McCaughey family as being someone who, there are people who stumbled into this situation, who really needed help, who were not fame hungry, and ended up receiving just maybe an over amount of love, donation, support, but never acted differently because of it. So it's pointed out here and in other research that I've done that the McCaughey family really did not, they were like the McCaughey family, they were like the original GoFundMe type of situation, but they never seemed to take advantage of it. And to this day, they do updates every once in a while on the news, and the family seems like very well adjusted with wonderful kids.
Already had one daughter, Michaela Marie, shown here, who was born in January 1996, and Nathan Roy, Brandon James, and Joel Stephen, who weighed in at 2 pounds 15 ounces. Surprisingly enough, The family felt there was never a worst part of their time together.
But Kate was looking on, and she saw that the McCaughey family was also receiving like free meals, free babysitting, trips, vacations paid for their family. People were just really devoted to this family, and it all kind of came from the community and with a high focus on the church community as well. And she knew she had that in her life. That was a part of her life and the lives of her family. Hoffman argues that even before she married John, she wanted to someday be known as a super mom of multiples.
Could we have a Kate and John switch day where I get to stand and cross my arms?
What do you want me to do? I did all my stuff.
I've been thinking about that lately.
Put their goods on, fill all the juice cups.
Honey, we should have a role reversal day.
Got them dressed, got the boys dressed, got the girls dressed.
Well, it's our usual John not helping discussion.
Her path already included wanting to be branded like a Martha Stewart, to have her own line, to become famous, and now she was going to add like mother of many children to that brand.
It's not that he doesn't help. I think I said that wrong. He helps a lot. You see that. I just wish he would say, "What can I help you with, Kate?" That would like reduce my stress by 95%. I didn't say you didn't do anything.
Fine, I'll do lunch. You want to play with them, do all your stuff? Go ahead.
Now here's where I struggle with fully believing everything about these allegations. But Hoffman does have sources, and he states in here he cannot say for sure what's going on. But it's his belief, and he makes the argument that Kate didn't really have a fertility problem. That would be crazy, right? She had already become, as we talked before in chapter 1, he's stating that she already had become pregnant by accident when she was younger. But that can happen with someone who does have PCOS, which is what she's always alleged to have caused her to seek out fertility treatment.
And I know he probably hates that I'm airing his fault, but he knows it as his issue, right, honey?
Yeah, I know I have many faults.
Well, I'm not sitting here to pick on your faults. I'm just saying, I just wish you would say, "Kate, I know you're trying to get out the door. Is there something I could help you with?"
Okay.
And that's all.
Hoffman states that it was Kate Gosselin's background in nursing on a labor and delivery unit that gave her all the information she needed in order to be able to kind of fake the idea that she was not able to get pregnant despite trying. It is odd, and Hoffman points it out, that Kate states in a lot of the interviews she does about what happened to her that she just had this feeling. Even before she was ever diagnosed with PCOS, she always had this feeling she would have trouble getting pregnant. It was going to be really hard for her. And so she kind of knew she was probably going to have to seek out fertility treatment. And Hoffman says this seems really strange. I mean, who thinks like that? And he points out that he's spoken to many people with PCOS who say that it never occurred to them that they wouldn't be able to have children until after they had tried for a long period of time and were unable to get pregnant, that they really, they knew that they needed to try first.
Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
But according to Hoffman, John is basically stating that as soon as they got married, right away, Kate started pushing, like, we need to get pregnant and I'm not able to. So we are going to have to seek out fertility treatment.
John! The potty seat, remember yesterday I asked for it in the white van?
And once they did, it didn't take long for Kate to become pregnant.
Boys come home, they go straight in the shower. Did you promise me that?
Yep.
John! I need Kara's polka dot flip-flops.
On their second cycle of treatment, they found out that Kate was pregnant, and eventually they were told that she was having twins. People have said that Kate was ecstatic until she found out that there were only two. And Hoffman alleges that she stated she wished there were more.
So I stood there until she pulled out of the driveway. I'll stand here until they forget something else. That's why I waited in the driveway, because I didn't know what else she was going to make me go in the house for.
I'm sorry, I've got to break in here while I'm editing and be like, what a bitch. I can't believe she just like threw the flip-flop on the ground while he waited there to pick it up for her. Oh my God. Ugh. I've never had anyone go in and out getting all this shit from me for my 2 kids. I can't believe. We're done. At age 25, Kate gave birth to her twins, Kara and Maddie. They're so adorable and cute. But it is kind of odd that when the twins turned 1, Kate already started talking about going back for more fertility treatments so that they could try again for more children. In chapter 4, Hoffman goes on to make a very heavy argument that he believes Kate made up her diagnosis of PCOS.
She wanted me to throw those out the window. You don't have to get them. Goodbye.
Typical Kate exit.
How do you do the rear air in this car? Oh. I don't drive this car very much.
He goes into like talking about all the common symptoms of the disorder and argues like whether or not Kate had them. I think it's really like we're unable to know for sure. It's very hard for me to believe that she could medically fake all of this and get the treatments that she wanted. But Hoffman does make us aware that it looks as though Kate was doctor shopping, picking and choosing who she would work with based upon whether or not they were willing to do fertility treatments with her.
Oh, God. The queen has left the building.
Hoffman also lets us know that in his conversations with John has continued to support the idea that he absolutely 100% believes that Kate had PCOS and was unable to conceive without help. But Hoffman says that in his research, he's found that Kate was told by many doctors that because she was so young, she should wait and try to get pregnant on her own for at least a year before turning to the infertility treatments. And Kate was angry that they were asking her to wait. Her persistence finally paid off, and she found a doctor who would begin treating her undiagnosed after only 6 months of marriage. And that's how she was able to get pregnant with the twins originally.
She's tough. I mean, I called her a fuzzy bunny compared to Kate. So then she got mad and...
You called her a fuzzy bunny.
Yeah.
At the end of chapter 4, Hoffman makes a really big deal about the way Kate Gosselin was choosing to raise Maddie and Kara. Hoffman states that up until the time they were 1, Kate was just insanely pushing this idea that we don't call them Maddie and Kara, we call them the Gosselin twins. He specifically writes that at less than 1 year old, Kate paraded Maddie and Kara Gosselin down Main Street in Wyomissing Boulevard in a decorated float during the 4th of July parade and celebration in that hometown. Kate, their controlling and masterminding mother, had already put a label on them. They weren't Maddie and Kara Gosselin. They were the Gosselin twins, or Little Miss Americas. The Gosselin name at that time meant as much as Hoffman name in this area, which was absolutely nothing. So the idea of Kate making a spectacle of herself and her family was laughable to the affluent neighbors she passed by in the parade. But Kate held her daughters up and put them on display. Here they are, world, the Gosselin twins. The locals didn't know what to make of Kate Gosselin. She had headshots. Now this is what I find interesting. She had a lot of headshots taken of the twin girls. Like she was going to put them on Toddlers and Tiara. Oh my God, do you guys remember that show? Now I really want to watch Toddlers and Tiara. I loved that show. And I think it would be funny to see, oh my God. Oh my God. Kate plus 8 crossover to Toddlers and Tiaras. That would be amazing. Okay. Kate had headshots taken of the girls and she contacted modeling agencies. She tried to get them commercial jobs and she was thinking about trying to get them on TV already. So this speaks a lot. I totally get this way more than the PCOS thing, making that up. It's interesting to find that she was already pushing her older children, the twins, to be involved in the entertainment industry. Okay, so she was looking for anything on television, but there were no takers. She couldn't get them onto toddlers and tiaras. And I could see how that wouldn't have worked out. Because I bet, if you guys remember, Maddie was such a, like, she would push back. She was not going to do what people told her to do. That's one of the things that people talk about is, like, it's not fair to Maddie because she's always known as being kind of a spoiled brat, but she probably, like, could never get a TV commercial because you have to have, like, very complacent children to participate in those kinds of activities. Good for you, Maddie. Now, Hoffman says that a local photographer told Kate, like, there's just nothing special about twins. Like, that's not going to get you anywhere. I don't know if I believe that. I think that's crazy. It makes me also think of, hello, world. My name's June. What's yours? Do you know that old musical? I used to love it. Gypsy. Oh, I loved Gypsy. If you don't know it, look it up. But it's basically about, like, selling your kids out for money.
Honey, how much money would I have to pay you to try one of these things that kids touched?
I'll eat them all. Well, Kate and I have a general rule saying that
if kids made it,
we don't eat it because they're...
So Hoffman ends chapter 4 with giving us, like, this excerpt from a website that Kate made early on, like, I guess right after she had all the kids. So he says, even though Kate did not get the high order multiple she wanted, she would not give up on her plan. And these are the words from John and Kate's earliest website. So Kate wrote, the girls turned 1 and I started thinking about more children. After all, the girls have been pure fun and I wanted to do it again. I don't believe that. Ugh, I really want, like, was someone helping her with the twins, I wonder, because it's so hard to have babies that you would so quickly be like, yes, I want to implant 10 embryos. Like, it just seems like a lot. But John wasn't convinced. I prayed for a long time that God would change his mind. Okay, it took, once again, going back to the prayer. It took a long time and a rough experience for both of us for that to happen. In May 2003, we had the opportunity to adopt a newborn in kind of a rare circumstance. Things were moving. Okay, so she's talked about this before. She said that she wanted to adopt children from Korea, but they weren't chosen. They couldn't meet the requirements of adoption. I'm sorry. Okay, things were moving really fast, and we prayed about it and felt that this was not meant to be. Oh, so she actually turned it down. Well, of course, because probably the kid was, like, not perfect or something. John and I came to a joint decision that we were not ready to take on such a responsibility at the time. They weren't ready for that. They weren't ready to adopt one baby, but they could go ahead and have 8. We felt God leading us that way. John was amazed that I so willingly, quote unquote, turned down a baby. Wow. Right. Because I guess the baby wasn't perfect enough. It hurt so badly, but I knew that we were doing the right thing. I mourned for the better part of a month. And it was then that John agreed to let us return to try and have another baby. Oh, what an interesting story. So she told John that she wanted to, so it's kind of like John didn't really want to have more kids. So she told John, like, we've got to help, like, a child in need. We'll just adopt. Let's, from your culture, like, let's go to Korea and get a baby. And, like, we've got to help a child in need. And then once they started that process, she broke down and was like, I don't think I can do this. This child isn't what I can handle. And then she manipulated him by being so sad about it to try again for another child of their own. Oh my God, she's brilliant. She's a brilliant mastermind, evil mastermind. That's what she is. That's how she did it. Interesting. Kate says, he saw just how badly I wanted to be a mommy again. After I threw away that baby that we could have had but wasn't perfect. I don't even know whether to laugh or cry about it. That's the classic story. I think I'm starting to realize that's a classic story of who Kate Gosselin is. She had an opportunity. She supposedly sought after an opportunity to take in a child that maybe had some kind of misfortune, a child that would really need a family. And when she thought about it, she's like, no, that's not for me. I'm really sad though. So can we go out and get a brand new, fresh, perfect one, John? Come on. And then she got 8. Yeah, she really... I'm sorry, John, I don't think you're too sharp about this one. It reminds me of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Remember that saga? Okay, let's talk about chapter 5. Just one more, but not an adopted one. Not one that, I don't know, has an extra finger or something. Not that. Just one more. In this chapter, Hoffman gets really pissed off that Kate Gosselin constantly says, "We were so thrilled. We decided to try for just one more and ended up with 6." This is kind of like a tagline that she uses over and over again, along with her branding and all the TLC stuff. She says, "We tried for just one more and we got 6." Okay, it's in chapter 5 that Hoffman lets us know that he spent a lot of time researching this book. He contacted and interviewed and spoke to all these anonymous bloggers on several of anti-Kate Gosselin sites, which I didn't know existed, and it took a long time for him to gather all the information. He makes an argument that Kate, it's not that she didn't want one baby, it's that she was disappointed she only ended up with 8 kids. She would have kept going down the rabbit hole had John allowed her to. Hoffman calls Kate out and says, Kate delivers the same scripted talking points over and over again, almost verbatim in all of her books, television interviews, print, everything. And he says that when he initially went to go write this book, he wasn't prepared for what he was going to find. He says that it never occurred to him that he would find and come to believe that Kate intentionally set out to have 2 sets of multiples and to create this lifestyle for herself. Hoffman begs us to understand that it makes no sense. If you were a young woman like Kate was at the time, and you got pregnant really easily with twins the first time around doing fertility treatments, and you really, really wanted just one more, would you go against your doctor's recommendation to switch from IUI to IVF? I'm not going to go into all the differences about this, but basically, Kate was using the most extreme way to one of the more extreme ways to get pregnant. And she was obviously using several embryos, okay? She could have switched to a different treatment, which would have potentially limited how many babies she could have at one time. And doctors were telling her that she should do so. And Hoffman tells us that through his research and speaking behind the scenes to all these people who worked at the doctor's office, that after Kate was told that, number 1, she could try a little bit longer without any intervention, or number 2, she should do IVF instead of IUI, she left the doctor who told her that and went shopping for a doctor who would do what she wanted and ensure that she had the best chance of getting multiples. I mean, obviously that's the case. They had to implant at least 6 embryos or more. I think they implanted more. Hoffman says if she truly, this is obvious, if she truly wanted just one more, why didn't she go along with the doctor's recommendation to switch to IVF? If it would have been successful, she could have had just one more baby. And it's Kate would have understood this. She was a labor and delivery nurse. She would have also likely understood how to game the system. And this is what Hoffman says at the end of chapter 5. Someone who worked with Kate's first infertility doctor said that Kate Gosselin was told by Dr. X to use IVF, and that made her angry. Who is she to tell me what I can and can't do with my body, Kate demanded. I've met with that person and a second individual from that doctor's office several times in the course of writing this book. In wanting to protect their careers and their own families, they have chosen to remain anonymous. And Hoffman states that throughout Kate's career of writing books, she has frequently, in the beginning, she frequently named her fertility doctor an office, kind of as a way to like bring notoriety to them. But by the end, she stopped talking about them completely. And Hoffman is surmising that she didn't want people to go back and ask too many questions of this fertility doctor once things started to fall apart. Then Hoffman leaves us with this. Let's go back to the beginning, where this story gets a whole lot worse. You guys, chapter 6 is double bananas, okay? Chapter 6 is called On-the-Job Training. You guys, it is all about what colleagues of Kate Gosselin in the hospital, colleagues that she was around when she was a nurse, have to say about her. And it is not good. I can't believe I never read this book. Cannot believe it. I am so glad that you've been here with me. I hope you keep going out on this journey with me. I'm excited to hear from so many of you. Lots of you are like, I went out and bought the book. That's so awesome. And I've had a lot of people message me and be like, I knew Kate, I knew John, I did this, I do that. That's really cool as well. I'm so glad to hear from all of you. I hope that you will join me tomorrow for chapter 6. I'm actually really excited about chapter 6. On the job training. And I have some extra tidbits to share with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you join me again to head down another rabbit hole.
As Bobby and Kenny adapted to their situation, they revealed the babies went through roughly 40 diaper changes every single day. There was also the challenge of feeding each baby, bathing them, and trying to get them through the night with a little bit of sleep. The parents needed help from outside sources. Early on, we had so much help from family and friends, Bobby said in 2015. If there was anything we needed, there was always someone who was willing to help us. Soon as the McCaughys became celebrities, they started getting help from more than just friends and family. See, even though they were given privacy by their suburban neighbors, the McCaughys were placed in front and center of national magazines like Time and Newsweek, the latter of which edited Bobby's teeth for the cover photo, which caused a minor controversy. This led to attention, both good and bad. A flood of support came across the country. The McCaughys were given a van, nanny services, a large house that was completely paid for, and even a call from Bill Clinton. The greatest gift of all was from the state of Iowa, which gave the kids full-ride college scholarships. Some folks were outraged. In the beginning, for every 10 letters we would get that were happy for us, we'd get one letter accusing us of exploiting the kids and being selfish to waste the world's resources on a family this big, Bobby said on the 10-year anniversary of the birth. Our neighbors never gawked, but we had complete strangers come around the back door, knock, and ask if they could hold a baby. The McCaughys received a letter from the Dion quintuplets, the first known quintuplets, 5 babies, to survive. They were born in 1934, and they warned Bobby and Kenny to keep their kids out of the national spotlight. For the most part, the new parents took this advice, doing just a few rare interviews following 1997. This piqued public curiosity. For decades, people across the United States wondered what became of the septuplets. Were they well-rounded kids? Did they take Iowa up on those full-ride scholarships? Or were they struggling to get by like so many other children who were raised in a spotlight? Only recently did we get some solid answers. Here's what we know. All 7 septuplets went to Carlisle High School in their hometown, and they graduated in May 2016. Diplomas in hand, they determined their own futures. Each sibling took a unique route. After attending Des Moines Area Community College, Kenny Jr. started vocational school for the building trade. Further away from home than anyone is the outgoing athlete Brandon, who enlisted in the U.S. Army and was deployed overseas. As for the other siblings, like her older brother, Alexis, passed up on the full-ride university scholarship and registered at the Des Moines Community College. The remaining 4 septuplets, Natalie, Kelsey, Nathan, and Joel, chose to attend Hannibal LaGrange University in Missouri, which also offered full scholarships. Their majors reflected their personalities. Sweet and perceptive, Alexis focused on early childhood education. Quiet and reflective, Joel studied computer information systems, alongside determined Nathan. Kelsey majored in public relations, and the high-achieving perfectionist Natalie majored in exercise science. Parents Bobby and Kennedy discussed these decisions in 2015. Bobby shared with Today, "In some respects, it's been fun because Kenny and I have been able to do a lot more things, just the 2 of us, but at the same time, I kind of miss the business of having everyone at home. When they're at home, it's really enjoyable and something we look forward to a lot." Even the oldest daughter, Michaela Marie, has found success outside the nest. When she was 19, Michaela, pictured here as a toddler, married, and a year after that, she had her first child, Betcham. The septuplets were officially aunts and uncles, and the next generation of the McCaughey family began. Bobby and Kenny dote on their first grandchild, though they don't see him as much as they'd like. That's because Michaela is far from home in Missouri, living with Betcham and her husband. She still brings little Betcham over to see Grandma and Grandpa every now and then, and Bobby and Kenny jump right back into parent mode with a few noticeable differences. The love for them is the same, but the responsibility is so different, Bobby shared. While the parents are becoming more used to time with each other and their grandchild, their young children are making new memories of their own. For Alexis, Joel, Nathan, and Kelsey, going away to college was a big change. "It was a difficult transition to be away from our parents and be outside of Iowa," Kelsey said, "but I think that we all did welcome it. They were all given a chance to find themselves." Aside from their studies at Hannibal LaGrange University, Alexis, Joel, Nathan, and Kelsey are also busy making new friends, networking with professionals, and doing a little community service on the side. They look forward to reuniting every year on their birthday over Thanksgiving break, but their childhood home has changed. Just 2 years after leaving their home for school and service, the McCaughey septuplets were given some big news from their parents. Bobby and Kenny felt their house was too big for 2, so they wanted to sell. However, they didn't want to give it away to just anyone. The parents wanted the house to go to a good cause. So in 2018, Bobby and Kenny met officials from the Des Moines nonprofit Ruth Harbor, which provides housing and support to young mothers of unplanned pregnancies. The nonprofit was looking for another home to expand its program, and the McCaughys felt that their home would be ideal. Bobby and Kenny were proud that their home would carry more happy memories for others in need. "Nothing would please us more than the idea of our home being used as a place of refuge to others in need," Bobby said. As the McCaughey clan continues to grow, now Natalie and Brandon are married. People can't help but admire how well-rounded they are. Please share this story with your friends and family.